Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Limitless Landscapers podcast. I'm Paula, your host and the Landscapers coach. And this week I am talking about what do you do when you've hit a goal? What next? And how do you stop your mind from self-sabotaging the progress you've made already? If this resonates with you, let's go to the show.
As the co-founders of the Landscaper Circle, we help you get more money, time and freedom to become limitless through our experiences as fellow landscapers and our tried and tested methods. If you want help with your marketing, managing or growing your business, you've definitely come to the right place. If you're a landscaper, garden designer or supplier to the industry, then hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. Now, let's get back to the show.
Hello, guys, and welcome to this week's episode of the Limitless Landscapers podcast. How are you? I want to talk to you today about goals and mindset, really, because it's something that has been affecting me for the last few days at least. And if you've been around here for a while, that for the last 18 months, I have been becoming a natural wellness bodybuilder. So a natural athlete, no PEDs, and if no one knows what that is, performance enhancing drugs, which makes it more difficult to put on muscle and to look a certain way. It also requires a ridiculous amount of dedication to get to the goal of standing on stage as a bodybuilder and competing. And it also takes an enormous amount of mindset work because you are being judged on what you look like from what you've put in and over a long period of time. So I've just come back this weekend from my second and final bodybuilding show of the season. So I did two. I did a first timers a few weeks ago, and then I did a natural show this weekend just gone. And I placed first in the over 40s and I placed second in the novice. Now, which is fantastic and it's amazing. And I've achieved every goal I set myself 18 months ago. When I sat down with my personal trainer and coach, I set 4 goals, and they were to step on stage for the first time and enjoy it, to look insane, to stay sober and stick to plan, and to win. And essentially, I achieved every single goal I put out there, short-term goals, for 18 months ago. So manifestation, mindset, whatever you want to call it, those goals have firmly been hit. The next load of goals are to step on stage again, to get my pro card, lots and lots of things to work on. But what I wanted to come on here today, because although I'm talking about my bodybuilding experience, it's exactly the same when it comes to business. And I've felt this way when I've hit business milestones in the past as well, or fell short of business milestones. It's that feeling of what next. It's the feeling of elation when you hit those goals. So I stepped off stage on Saturday and was full of adrenaline, was really happy, was getting back to everyone that had messaged, calling my mum, calling the kids, all of these sorts of things, and felt amazing on cloud 9. And then slowly but surely I fell off the edge of a cliff and have been ever since, really struggling with my mindset around what next. Because essentially when you hit a big goal, like that was something I never thought I'd be able to do. I never thought as a 41-year-old woman of 2 children that I would have the determination or time to be able to put into this sport that I have done. And I am truly proud of myself, and I'm truly happy that we've hit these goals. But it leaves me in a weird position at the moment where it's what next. And I know what I want to do next. I know I want to carry on. I know I want to compete next year. I know I want to grow. But it's almost whenever you hit a big goal in business or personal life like me, that feeling of what next can throw you into the depths of despair, and your mind can start trying to sabotage you. For examples, my mind keeps telling me, you're never going to look like that. What's the point? Why don't you just go and eat some more cake? Why don't you just not bother eating to plan? What's the point? You're going on holiday. What's the point? You're not competing till next year. What's the point? And this is all my horrible mind keeps saying. It will also then try and bring you back down to earth in a way that it will try and make you think that what you've achieved isn't great. It will make you think that what you've done is nothing, that anyone can do it, and who do you think you are for thinking that you can do more? And it's a very interesting thing because essentially your mind wants to protect you. And I've spoken about this before when we've talked about mindset, but your mind essentially is there to protect you. When we were cavemen, it wanted to protect you from being eaten by a predator, and it wants you not to basically go outside of your comfort zone. And what I've spoken about in previous podcasts is the only growth that happens is when you do step outside your comfort zone. And I well and truly have done that these last 18 months, and I will continue to do so because I have grown as a person, and my mindset and how I'm dealing with these setbacks, I like to call them, or ego in the mind, is what I'm now working through. And I'll continue to do that in order to move forward and grow going forward. So when it comes to business, you hit a goal, and then what do? You can feel like I did, elated, and then you have the come down, like I like to call it. It's like you've been to an amazing rave and then you're on the other end, and then all of a sudden you're not surrounded by people, you're on your own and you're on a massive come down, and you wonder if it was all worth it. It is. And the main thing is then to get your mind back on track. Now, I allowed myself to feel the feelings because we always need to acknowledge these feelings that we have. I allowed myself to cry. I allowed myself to sleep because I was exhausted, and I allowed myself to go off plan and eat and do things that I wanted to do, like eat what I wanted and train how I wanted. I did that for a couple of days, and now I am firmly back on plan. And the best thing you can do for yourself is to acknowledge and release the energy and the feelings that you're feeling. Know that it's a product of your mind. It's not necessarily true. It's just your mind trying to keep you safe. And then set some new goals. So today I'm having a check-in with my coach and we are setting some new goals. I know already what I want to do. I just need the plan. And if you're anything like me, I really need a plan from someone else. I know what I need to do, but I also like a plan put into place for me that I can just follow, like methodically. Do X, get Y, and then do step 2 and get Z, however you want to call it. And that's how I like to work with my clients in TLC as well, is everyone knows generally what they've got to do, but it's also having someone externally that can point out an easier route, can point out from their experience what they've had and achieved or done and the outcome of it, then being able to guide you in a step-by-step action plan in order to achieve your next goal. So that is what I'm doing with my coach today, setting a plan for training, a plan for eating, a plan for stage, basically how we want to go forward. And I want to change everything. I'm really in that period where I want to go full force now. I've done it once, I've got over the nerves. Like anything, your first time is the most terrifying. You'll want to pick apart everything. That's what I've been doing, is picking apart, oh, wasn't good enough, should have done this, should have done that, shoulda, woulda, coulda. But essentially, let's utilize that. I'm requesting judges' feedback today, and let's utilize that feedback to come back bigger and better next year. And it's the same in business. You achieve a goal, then you have to look ahead and think, what do you want next? What's going to make you happy? What's going to, that ability to step outside your comfort zone and grow as a person and a business? And then what's the plan to get there? And who have you got around you to support you? I'm very lucky. I have my coach, I have my business coach, and I have Mike, who's been with me the whole time, supporting me in so many ways on this journey. So think about who you've got around you. Think about what step-by-step plan you're going to need and what support you need for that. And think about what's the next what's the next goals? What are big goals? What are the small goals? What are the steps you need to take to get out of this? And then the final thing I wanted to just touch upon is your mindset. I've been explaining how my mind's been feeling. And I've felt like this when I've achieved major milestones in business as well. Like when we got our yard space, it was all like a big buzz. We got there, we grew the teams, you feel elated, you feel like achieve something. And then all of a sudden it's what now? There's extra pressure because you've got to find work for these people, you've got to pay for the yard space. But what now? Because you're so excited, you're celebrating, which I absolutely condone, that you celebrate these things. But then there's always a what next feeling, and that feeling of, oh my God, you just feel almost sometimes a little bit stuck because you don't know what next, what's the next goal. And it's all about your mind. So you really have to be really mindful of what can help you at this point. So for me, it's booking in those calls with my coaches. It's speaking to Mike, who is obviously my husband and business partner and partner in life, and chatting through the goals and the plans going forward. It's also then finding what makes you feel better. So for me, I like to go to a meditation class once a week. It's run by a very good friend of mine, and I'm going today with the kids. So we're doing a family session. And I just think having that, I'd like to do it more often. But at the moment, once a week is doable and viable for me, but it allows connecting back to myself. It allows me to try and work through the negative mindset, the ego part of my brain that wants to keep you small and wants to question you thinking you're anything better than you are. And it's also a way of getting back on my spiritual path, because we are all energy, we are all spiritual beings. We need to reconnect to that in order to move forward in life and business. Like I said, manifestation is a massive part, I believe, of life and whether you achieve things. And it just proved to me when I reflected back on all the goals I set, every single one has been achieved. And that's because they were at the forefront of my brain. I wrote them down regularly. I looked at them every week when I checked in. I reminded myself why I was doing this, because sometimes it was hard, really, really difficult from a personal perspective, the pressure it puts on relationships, from a physical perspective, the amount of exercise and your grinding down your body essentially into a place of exhaustion and malnourishment almost in order to get to a certain point. It's also the grit and determination when you have to say no to going out, no to eating certain things, no to meeting up with friends because there's going to be too much temptation there, or it's just not on your plan. But you do grow from these experiences, and essentially you do, once you learn to control your mind, you control everything around you. So what you think you can have, but you have to control your mind first. You have to get over that mindset. So if you are feeling this way yourself, maybe you've achieved a big goal or you haven't achieved a goal and you're thinking, what's the point? Get in touch, because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to support you guys that are running your landscaping and garden design businesses, and probably looking ahead to, it's nearly Christmas, it's nearly closed down for 2 weeks for us at least, and I know for a lot of you out there you'll be closing for Christmas. And then it's what now? What goals am I setting for next year? What have I achieved this year? What have I learned? Most importantly, actually, is not just about when you've hit the goals. I hit all my goals that I set with my PT 18 months ago. But it's not just about that. It's about what I've learned on that journey to get there. And that's the whole point of having this call with her, so I can unpick what we've learned so we can make a plan going forward. And I just want you to remember that, because it is important that we be mindful and we keep on top of our mindset always. When we're on the highs and we're on the lows, we need to keep working on our mindset as a daily thing. It has to be done. And then also how you navigate a plan out of that, not staying in the lows for too long, not staying in the highs for too long, having a happy medium, but also moving forward in business and personal life, moving forward towards goals you want to achieve and learning the lessons on the way. So I just wanted to share that today, because it has been a bit of an emotional roller coaster over the last few days. It's been weird. It's been a weird place to be, but I know myself enough, and I'm so self-aware through the work I've done with coaches and the work I've done on myself, personal development, that I know what's going on, I know how to get out of it, and I know what support I need in place to do that. That is it for this week. Like I say, if you feel like this, if you need any help with goal setting, planning, if you're looking for a business coach that has 14 years experience working in the landscaping industry, but also a lot of years in sales, marketing, and just generally running a business and running life, then get in touch, because that's what I'm here for. So I will see you next week. Excuse me. I am now off on holiday, a much needed rest and relaxation. And then I'll be back next week for the next episode of the Limitless Landscapes podcast. Leave me a comment or a message if you've enjoyed this episode, and I will see you next week. Ciao.